Welcome to this episode of Look Around Lubbock, brought to you by Fox 34. Hi, I'm Kurt Kaiser, and I'll be your Look Around Lubbock host over the next several months as we explore the nonprofit community in Lubbock. We will highlight services for physical and mental health and educational activities for children and families made possible by nonprofit organizations and their volunteers. Lubbock is proud of its tradition of discovering community needs and finding a solution to meet those needs. Whether your need is food, shelter, clothing, medical services, educational training, mentoring, or simply fun activities for your family, you will learn about the organizations that can lend a helping hand. These nonprofit organizations depend on monetary contributions and volunteers like you to provide these services. Providing help, creating hope, serving all families. That's the mission of Catholic Charities of Lubbock.
Overall, the focus is on the family and providing support and empowerment to those families so that they can be in a place of well-being. Families are all over the place. I mean, I think they live in a state of crisis all the time. And so, our job is to really make sure that they're in a better place. And so, if that means supporting them with a book club or supporting them with parenting classes or counseling, things like that, it's just a variety of programs that they can come in this one place and seek out what their needs are, and we try to help them.
One of those services offered is the Kinship Navigator Program.
Kinship is basically anyone raising a child that's not biologically theirs. It could be aunt, uncle, grandparents, even a close friend. Some were CPS, a lot were COVID because parents had passed away, so other family members had to step in and care for the children. And then of course we have the parents that are incarcerated, or just those parents that go and drop off their kiddos with their grandparents and just never return.
We receive funding from the state to do our mental health counseling and parenting and skills building. And this is the same pot of funding that we get for Kinship, focusing on the family and on our youth, making sure that they're healthy and that they're getting the help that they need.
Let's say a family calls and says, I need help finding childcare or food or clothing, because a lot of times the kids, the only clothes they come with is what's on them and that's it. Catholic Charities has a resource store. We can automatically do a clothing voucher. The family goes to our resource store and picks out clothes for the child. You'd be surprised how many families have either lived it or were kinship growing up. I mean, look, let's take for instance the country singer Luke Bryan. His sister passed away, so he had to take in his niece and nephew. So it doesn't discriminate.
We're a United Way partner, so we've got a couple of programs under United Way. We also are part of the Catholic Church, so we get a lot of support from the Diocese of Lubbock, from churches within the diocese, and then we also get support from local foundations, those who help us out with different projects that we have. The Lions Club provides some funding for us, so it's just all over the place.
Cynthia Quintanilla has been with the Catholic Charities for 26 years. Over that time, they have continued to help Lubbock residents when they need it most.
For me, the biggest change, of course, was COVID, because we knew that families were in crisis already, and then to have that added on top was even more of a crisis. And so for us, the focus was always, how do we reach them? How do we make sure that they're in a good place? How do we provide those resources despite all of the other limitations that we come across? We're probably getting intakes on a daily basis, and they're just nonstop. People either going through our website to fill out an application, or they're calling us, or they're walking in our doors. So it's quite a responsibility to try and meet all of the different needs.
But when you see them come in and they ask you for help and you're able to give them that resource and provide them that hope, you're doing God's work and God's calling. Because I always say everybody has a calling. We just have to pay attention to that calling.
The Condra School was created to help students achieve their potential in life by eliminating roadblocks to academic achievement. Miranda Condra saw those roadblocks in her own daughter.
Well, I have a beautiful, talented, intelligent daughter named Emma, and Emma has dyslexia and ADHD. And I found that I had trouble getting her help here, that we needed more services, and I felt like I needed to do something to help. We specialize in individualized education, small groups. We have some of the most amazing reading specialists in the state at our school. We have a diagnostician on staff who's actually our principal. We have other diagnosticians we work with. We have PT, we have OT, we have speech therapy. We are currently working on a study with Texas Tech University to investigate how auditory processing works with reading to help these kiddos learn to read better and faster and more effectively.
We meet our children where they are, and if they're struggling, they get the extra help they need to catch up, and if they're thriving, then we continue to challenge them. We are a public charter school, but we're also a 501c3 non-for-profit. So a lot of our funds we write grants for, or we look for private donations.
This is the same kind of services that are provided in private schools around the state. They can cost families $15,000 to $30,000 to $35,000 to $40,000 a year, all provided free to our students. Research shows that up to 20% of the population has some level of a dyslexia. But at the time we started the charter school, Lubbock ISD had only identified 1.4% of the children as having dyslexia. We also have a large group of people who have ADHD, they may have auditory processing disorder, they may have other issues that aren't associated with intelligence, but could make learning in the traditional school system challenging.
The Condra School was formed to meet that challenge.
We started the fall of 2019. That was the first year of COVID. And we opened our doors with 43 students. We ended the year with 106, the first year of COVID.
Anybody that's looking for a small class, all our teachers are certified with that one-on-one. We're not only a school that's fabulous for children that may be ADD or have ADHD or dyslexia, but for any child that would thrive in a smaller environment.
We are the first and only charter school of its kind in the state of Texas. We are the first and only public school of its kind in the state of Texas. And we want to show the world what you can do for these kids if you will get them in and serve their needs with intensity so that then they can transition later.
The school is currently located at Legacy with plans to relocate very soon.
Next year we will be moving over to our new location. Actually, we're going to do it over Christmas, which is the old Kaplan College building. We're redoing and we're going to be moving and expanding even further. There are so many kids who need our help. And what we want to do is get them in early, get them the intervention they need, and help them transition back into the traditional public school system.
It's bright, it's beautiful, it's creative. It's exactly like our children are.
Whenever you change the life of a child, you change the future forever. This is how you make a difference. This is how you make the world a better place. And that's our job. Our job is to make the world a better place. And we're doing that every single day.
For more on the Condra School, visit their website at condraschool.com. The mission of Family Promise of Lubbock is to house homeless families with children.
House them and bring them into a program of support with congregations, community groups, educational institutions that we could all network and share a responsibility to help them to achieve self-sufficiency again, get them back on their feet, looking at their overall wellness and how do we help them get back to a point of steadiness and balance in their life, but also connecting them to their community, its resources, and knowing that they're not alone in that journey. We typically have our families that can stay up to 6 months, as long as they're committed to the program and their family. We tell them that the community home is their home. It's not our home. It doesn't belong to us. It belongs to the community. Every property that we have, it belongs to the community and it's for them. Right now, we're able to house 7 families, full families at one time. We have a community home that has 5 large bedrooms and they're all furnished. Now they do share a few spaces. It's really good for them to learn some conflict resolution, how to build friendships, how to build healthy relationships, and manage them as well.
Homelessness is a major issue in our community that may often go unnoticed by many.
A lot of people may not know that there's more than 800 homeless children in Lubbock ISD alone. That's a big burden to us because you don't see them. They're unseen, and everyone's always wondering, what is the face of homelessness? But you don't see those. They're typically the ones that get picked up. They see that the children are out there with their parents, and so they go into foster care. They're going into a CPS case. But a lot of these families are couch surfing with other families, with friends, people that they may know, and a lot of times it's not the safest. When we ask our families is, what is the best thing that you loved about the program? And they said the value that they've gained from it, but not being alone. Throughout life, their experiences, they've been abandoned, they've been abused, they've been neglected by everyone that they've trusted. It's really hard for us to come into their lives along that journey and helping them to rebuild that trust.
Rebuilding that trust is necessary to make the program work, and Valerie points out Family Promise is a program, not a shelter.
It takes their willingness and commitment and dedication and consistency to follow the different educational tools that they're given. Everything from rebuilding their understanding and their relationship, good relationships with finances. Parenting is a big one because they weren't typically given a great foundation at their home. Sometimes we think, we have hard days and we have hard struggles. And when we hear what they've experienced, they are the strongest people we know.
And one of those strongest people now works for Family Promise and is a definite success story.
We had one of our families who had went through the program. Her name is Brenda, and she now works for us. She works for the organization. And when I met her, I thought, what better way to know about the program than as someone who went through it? And she has been an inspiration and to all of our teammates. We need more people. We need a lot of more people with ranges of personalities and experiences to help them. It takes a lot.
Every year, the South Plains Honor Flight sends veterans to Washington, D.C. to visit their memorials and receive the honor they deserve for serving our country.
Our sole purpose is to have fundraisers to finance all expense-paid trips for veterans, both men and women, to Washington, D.C. to tour the monuments, museums, and memorials built in their honor.
They all deserve to go. Anyone who signed that blank check to the U.S. government to become government issued deserves to go on this trip.
Recently, the South Plains Honor Flight brought a piece of the Washington, D.C. trip to Lubbock in the form of the Vietnam Memorial Traveling Wall.
So it's a 60% replica of the Vietnam Wall, 8.5, 9 feet tall and 360 feet long. Just a full-size replica. Names are all in the exact same order, so we could actually go out and look up names, and people were able to find their friends, loved ones, colleagues, and it was really special. We're known so much for taking veterans to DC, but in the end, our mission is just to honor those veterans, and especially the Vietnam. Their welcome home was one of the most atrocious of any conflict, and so it felt right to be able to bring that back to them and bring that to the community.
There's a presidential proclamation that was done. I think President Obama started it, President Trump continued it, commemorating the end of the Vietnam War. Vietnam era veteran, didn't even have to be in Vietnam to serve in that particular period of time, gets a pin and a copy of the signed presidential proclamation, basically saying that, for your service, we welcome you back.
One of the highlights of day one of the trip is while the chartered plane is still in the air, it's mail call.
About the time we're over somewhere between Oklahoma, Kansas, we will open up the mail call envelopes that are from the school children, their family members, anyone they've worked with, colleagues that are thanking them for their service, thanking them for their sacrifice. So they start opening those up. The plane's really loud as we're calling out the names, then it goes very, very quiet. As quiet as an airplane can be as they read those letters.
This is probably one of the more patriotic and generous neighborhood communities you could live in, and that bodes well for us. Because we have like 4 major fundraisers a year. We've got tied in with a group in Gale, Texas, of all places, called the legendary Coyote Store. They've kind of adopted us. This next May will be our 3rd benefit concert they've had down there for us. Our golf tournament is another big fundraiser. And then we have telethon and radiothons, and those are kind of our 4 bread and butter fundraisers we have.
You can learn more about ways you can support the Honor Flight by going to their website.
TexasSouthPlainsHonorFlight.org. You can sign up to be a volunteer, you can sign up to be a guardian, and you can sign up to go as a veteran. We have pictures from all of our past flights on there, and we just kind of try and keep it updated to let everyone know our next fundraisers. We have, for our golf tournaments, we have those pages on there, so it's kind of our big hub where we have everything.
The entire flight to our nation's capital is special. The veterans are treated like the true heroes they are. The welcome home is something to see.
You can see their faces light up when they see their grandchildren or great-grandchildren or friends and neighbors there with placards and cheering them as we come into the airport through the Honor Guard line up. That probably to me is one of my favorite parts.
We've had so many veterans come back and say, I'm a different person because of this. And it's unlike anything to be able to be a part of that.
Your donations makes you a part of the South Plains Honor Flight as well. Preserving history, telling a story, and instilling pride in American agriculture and values. That's the mission for the FiberMax Center for Discovery on Canyon Lake Drive. I met Executive Director Lacey Holting in the Central Exhibit Hall, located near the Alton Brazel Exhibit Hall.
Brazel focuses more on history of agriculture, farming. You'll see a lot of cool artifacts, plows, tractors, antiques. This building is more about modern agriculture, how we continue to irrigate, how we grow our crops, how we use science to be efficient in what we're doing. You can ride in the Cotton Stripper Simulator based on a John Deere CS690. It's like you're actually out harvesting the crop, making those big round bells we see all over West Texas. Anything we can do to help agriculture and farming come to life and really make an impression with all ages of visitors, we try to implement.
A 3rd phase is in the works, a children's agricultural literacy wing.
Basically teaching not only kids, but their parents, everyone in our community and beyond, who's behind the food and fiber that they eat and wear every single day. Another piece of that is the Cotton Heritage Center, where we'll kind of transition all of our cotton pieces and really tell that story of cotton production from the West Texas perspective, what cotton production is, the cycle, the steps, but also just the impact it has on our community. Even if you don't have a background in farming, if you didn't grow up around that, you can probably still tell whether or not we have a good year in cotton.
Exhibits aren't limited to inside the halls. You can even walk through a Pullman train car that belonged to the Underwood family.
Not only is it a neat train car, but you can see the Heritage Society did a great job of kind of showing the different stages and phases that particular car went through, from early 1920s to when the Underwoods had it and refinished it and repaired it. There's just a lot of ties between the cotton industry, the railroad, the Underwood family, and it was a great piece of local history. We didn't want it to go anywhere else.
You can also tour a house from the Ropesville Farming Project.
We even have volunteers that grew up on that project that come out and work with the kids, tell them the stories. It's a really neat exchange. It's just a neat house to see. And my favorite part is kids always ask, where's the bathroom? Well, that's not inside. What do you mean it's not inside?
Lacey says we can learn history not only from the exhibits, but from stories told by those who lived it.
Our cotton harvest simulator, one of the donors on that, her father had been a huge John Deere dealer in the 1940s. And she told me stories about being a little girl, and they had a round pen behind the tractor dealership because they were convincing the farmers to trade in. They would literally be able to trade in their horses for their first tractor. And she said she could remember first time she saw a grown man cry when they had to give up their horses, their partners on the farm, for a tractor. And then she could remember she'd climb up on the fence of this round pen. She could walk from one side to the other across the backs of the horses because they were packed in so tight as those farmers transitioned from horse-drawn equipment to mechanized.
The FiberMax Center for Discovery is dedicated to the Lubbock community.
We wanted to figure out a way to really get people in here. We didn't just want to be a museum. We wanted to be a center for education, for events, for the community. We even offer discounts for other nonprofits to rent here because we want to help everyone out, and we're all in this together trying to make Lubbock a better place. Probably one of the most common things I hear, and probably my least favorite thing to hear, is this is one of Lubbock's best kept secrets. So part of doing this story right here is to get rid of that statement. We just have a neat story to tell, and we want more and more local people to come and know that story too and share it with their friends and family.
Once a month, the South Plains Food Bank has Senior Box Distribution Day.
They are able to pick up their food boxes and fresh produce from us. And even though we don't open our lines until 8:30, we have a lot of seniors who are so afraid we're going to run out of food, which we're not, but they're here at 5 a.m. and they get in line and they wait and they wait and they wait. And we have 6 lanes open, and it usually wraps around our building through our parking lot and then goes all the way down MLK. We deliver about 800-900 boxes in about an hour and 20 minutes. They're very, very grateful. We hear more thank yous and more, I don't know what I would do without you, on Senior Box Distribution Day.
And that's just a small piece of the mission of the food bank, serving 20 different counties.
Well, the mission of the South Plains Food Bank is simply to alleviate hunger and give hope. And we fight that mission and are intentional with it every single day. The challenges with feeding our food insecure neighbors is that it is far-reaching and it has many different legs to it. You really can't put a face to what hunger looks like. It is, I promise you, your neighbor next door. People do not realize that they are one crisis, one event away from being food insecure.
What exactly is food insecurity? Many aren't aware of what a massive problem this is in our community.
Food insecurity simply means you do not know where your next meal may come from, or that you have to settle for non-nutritious food and buy food of non-substance, non-nutritional value to fill your belly.
There is a staggering number of hungry children in Lubbock.
If you show me a hungry child, I will show you a hungry family every time. And so it's really important that we not only focus on children, but we focus on the whole family. They all deserve to eat. We don't need to hear any more stories of mamas feeding their children and then eating a can of beans for the day. Or children who are not in school, they don't have access to their free or reduced lunches. And they know that on Friday afternoon, they're not going to eat until they get back to school on Monday. So we are here to help those families. But we also have a 2,500 orchard apple trees that we just harvested, probably close to 70,000 pounds of apples. We're able to pick, wash, and bag the apples grown in our orchard, and they're supplementing food boxes that we're giving out on our dock here.
The food bank receives great support from the community, but they can always use more volunteers.
Absolutely, and not enough. I can, tell you it takes many hands to make this operation work. We are very good stewards of people's donated dollars. I think we tell a good story in that way, and every dollar that's donated to us, we show the direct impact of that dollar. It is an honor to serve, absolutely, and it is also an honor to be allowed into somebody's space in which you truly feel a grateful heart and tears in their eyes, because they know they don't have to make a decision. They can go ahead and pick up their medication. They can go ahead and pay the higher utility bills. They can go ahead and supplement what they're not getting in a food box. They can go to a grocery store and pay for items that they might need. So yeah, it's very gratifying and humbling and simply an honor to serve others.
Thank you for watching this episode of Look Around Lubbock. I hope you've enjoyed learning about new services and opportunities that are made available due to the generous work of nonprofit organizations and their volunteers. Vibrant communities offer services that improve the health and culture of the city and shape the character and the future of its citizens. Join me, Kurt Kaiser, each Saturday and Sunday as we continue to feature nonprofit organizations on Look Around Lubbock. Watch right here on Fox 34 News Now as we explore all that nonprofit organizations in Lubbock have to offer.